All right, we're good. Go for it, Mike.
Okay, thank you and welcome everybody. My name is Mike Couvret and I'm the chairperson with the Thebacha and Wood Buffalo Astronomical Society. We're an NWT society based in Fort Smith, and today we were nominated by one of our local volunteers, Janie Hobart, as one of the Bright Spot presenters, and it was a surprise, and I'm honored to be presenting to this group of NWT Parks and Recreation people. So what I'll be talking about is just an overview of our annual Dark Sky Festival and some of the planning and activities involved with coordinating this event. So, what is the Dark Sky Festival? It's an annual event that we host every year, usually about the third week of August, towards late August, when we're actually getting dark skies back in the NWT. Our inaugural event was held in August 2012. So this year we did our 9th annual event, but I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. The main goal of the event is to raise the awareness of astronomy primarily as a hobby, but also to advance the knowledge of sciences, sort of the programs related to the STEM programming, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, which is a program in the primary schooling system. And also we're part of our job or our objectives is to promote the Dark Sky Preserve here in the NWT, which is in Wood Buffalo National Park, which was designated in June of 2013. Here's a few pictures from the one on the left is one of our earlier festivals. The one in the center, you can see kids participating in STEM activities. Basically what they made there was Lego blocks, robotics. So they build this machine and they can control it with remote controls. And being a peaceful activity, astronomy and science, I thought I'd show an early morning picture of our event site and somebody relaxing. Okay, so about our Dark Sky Festival, as I mentioned earlier, the inaugural event was in August of 2012. And this year we did host our 9th annual edition, though we did it virtually due to COVID-19. And we're not sure. It seemed to be well attended. We had about between 20 and 30 people sign in for our different events. Basically, the festival is a collaborative effort by the Thebacha and Wood Buffalo Astronomical Society, Parks Canada, and Wood Buffalo National Park, and many other community partners and businesses. Other partners include, more recently, Aurora College is now a partner with us. We also have some of our business partners are Northwestern Airlines, which is a locally based airlines, which without their participation, we would not be able to provide the level of quality to our experience or to our event. The NWT Power Corp is a sponsor, and a business out of Hay River Trade Show Direct, which provides a lot of our tents and other gear that we need for our outdoor activities. Some of the local businesses that contribute is the Kaiser Stores, Northern, TDC and Pelican. For people from Fort Smith, you'll know who those are. And then our volunteers, which is the organizers, which is primarily the board of the society. And I also have to acknowledge Janie Hobart, who, again, without her contribution to this festival, it would not be anywhere near the current level that it is. As I noted, the organization and planning relies primarily on volunteers. As we've grown the festival, our organizing starts earlier and earlier. We basically now start next year's organizing with our post-festival debrief, usually done in September or October. Okay, so the inaugural event, as I was mentioning, was in August 2012. The theme was, it was planned as an informal viewing session, and basically to introduce people to the hobby of astronomy. There was about 4 or 5 of us here that had, over the years, had met and decided that, hey, we should share this with other people, because people are always asking us what we're looking at through our telescopes and things like that. Or when there was some astronomy event happening, like a blue moon, somebody would call and say, what's a blue moon? Things like that. So we felt that the festival would be a good venue to help sort of familiarize people with the hobby. The initial event was attended by about 20 people and involved a Saturday evening and overnight camping out in Wood Buffalo National Park. There was about four personal telescopes set up, and that was what we referred to as the inaugural star party. With that one, we started organizing it about 2 weeks in advance. And as I was saying, it's the drive behind us organizing it was to share the experience of astronomy and to promote the dark sky preserve concept. So this is sort of what it would have looked like Sunday morning after the inaugural festival. You can see we have a few telescopes there where people standing around looking at them in the daylight. Some of the activities, this was, I think, from the second one, is a bunch of people learning what meteor impacts look like using various weights and dropping them into a bucket of flour. Here was a presentation talking about meteor impacts. There's just so happens there's one very close to Fort Smith, so we did explain to people how that all came about. And just some of the kids doing activities, arts and crafts with a cosmic theme to it. So the evolution of our festival. Basically, our 2013 event doubled in size, and at that festival, we had our first non-resident attendees. They were parents of one of our organizers, but we counted them as per se tourists. And this is when we really introduced our first planned activity for kids, and we sort of called it the Circus of Science. We had experiments where kids were making little rockets out of baking soda and vinegar, and other sort of easily demonstrated science programs. We had a small registration fee, which included a Saturday meal, which one of our local stores agreed to sponsor, and camping fees out at Wood Buffalo National Park. Wood Buffalo National Park actually became a co-host and had some of their visitor services staff participating, doing guided hikes and helping us with activities at the Pine Lake observation site. And for that particular one, we started advertising about 2.5 months in advance. And it was sort of in conjunction with Wood Buffalo National Park being announced as a dark sky preserve in June. And turns out we are the world's largest dark sky preserve. Parks Canada was sort of, as part of their announcement, indicating that our Dark Sky Festival was a signature event for visitors coming to the park. In 2014, we continued growth. We were experiencing basically a doubling every year. And we also expanded it from being just a Friday, Saturday, Sunday to including a Thursday evening activity. We had our first guest speaker, which was Dr. Roberta Bundar. She was up in Fort Smith and in the park and asked if she could speak at our festival. And we also increased the activities for kids, adding actual model rockets. We introduced our first adult workshop, which was a photo instructions on how to photograph aurora. Local businesses were solicited for sponsorship to help us offset the cost of providing meals as part of our package. And for that one, we had started organizing about 8 months in advance with our cooperation with ITI and Parks Canada. We were able to go out to a couple of regional trade shows, and they provided funding for some print advertising. 2015, we're over 100 people attending, and it was also including non-NWT residents who had noted to us that they were actually traveling primarily to the NWT. One of their key influencers was the festival was being held, and a chance to come up and do a aurora viewing experience outside of doing it in at 30 below in Yellowknife, where the prime viewing location is for aurora. Again, we were expanding our kids' activities, adding additional workshops for adults. Parks Canada arranged for a cultural component, which was some Denny drummers attended. They did a hand games demonstration as well. We had also secured some major sponsorships, which was Northwestern Air, to assist in bringing presenters in from outside of the Northwest Territories, and the NWT Power Corp came on as well, providing the financial contribution. Organizing started in September with the debriefing. Our advertising included third-party website ads. We created a festival-specific web page. We also had a video company coming up and doing a video of our festival, which is Star Trails Episode 1. It ended up actually being a in-flight video on Air Canada's international flights, which I think helped promote our festival to some of our international attendees. 2016, we were starting to we're in a position where we were able to ask people like Julie Payette, she was back then a science director at Montreal Science Center, Joanna Wagstaff, who was a CBC personality doing meteorology and other sciences. We're able to bring them in with the assistance of our airlines. 2017 festival was a bit of a challenge, even though we were able to attract 150 attendees. Trying to find science-related and astronomy-related presenters was a challenge. There was a major eclipse happening at the same time down in the United States, and everybody who was a science geek ended up wanting to attend that. So we actually brought in a lady from Yellowknife, Natalie Slino, who had applied to be in the next batch of astronauts and had made it to the top 12 in that particular challenge. And she brought her own little entourage. She had like six of her kids who were all actually participated in doing presentations and activities. 2018 festival, again, we were up at the 150 mark. At this time, we were approached about having one of the First Nations do a fire blessing as part of our formal festival programming. This year we brought guest speakers included Roberta Bundar and another Nicole is another CBC on-air personality. The 2019 festival, we were really pleased to bring in Bob McDonald, who's with CBC's Quirks and Quarks, and is considered the science persona of Canadian science. We had also made arrangements for Wilfred Buck, a renowned traditional knowledge gatherer from outside of Winnipeg, but unfortunately a medical condition precluded him actually attending. So here's a few of the photographs from the festivals. As you can see, the kids' activities are participated by even some of our adults in attendance, find quite entertaining. This is part of our Circle of Science. We now have Professor Quark from Yellowknife, who comes down every year since 2014. Scott Lowe's his real name. Entertains kids for about an hour, sometimes goes on to 2. Very entertaining. This was from the 2019 festival. Paul Bouchard and a few of the youth that he's teaching the art of drumming. And this was from the 2016, I believe, which is Julie Payette doing a presentation as part of our feature dinner program. This is a typical view of our camping area. People coming in RVs, tents, all types of things. This is a serving of our second meal, 2013, and it's progressed to an assembly line of gourmet food. This is from 2018. Some more kids' activities, including teenagers, and our always popular rocket launch. Kids are the ones that usually put together the rockets, but as you can see in the photo, adults enjoy it as well. So what are some of the successes of our festival? It's now a principal festival for Fort Smith, significant tourism attractor. As well promoted by NWT Tours and other groups as a must-do event. We continue to stick to a family-friendly format with engaging content, strong education on, or strong focus on education for kids, and providing adults with additional knowledge on science and astronomy. We stick to primarily being organized by volunteers. We have a committed core group, which is our board, and we finally have an exceptionally good response from short-term volunteers during the festival. So if we need people to help with cleaning up the site, serving meals, things like that, people are just jumping forward and jumping in and helping as we need it. The one thing with our festival, it's unique for the North, and it allows us flexibility and creativity to for the festival to evolve. And we find we keep our format, it's quite a bit different than many of the other dark sky festivals across Canada, whereas we focus more on youth and amateur people rather than the hardcore astronomy buffs. Our challenges, the logistics of organizing it, requires considerable planning, as about half of our festival is held out at a remote site at Pine Lake, which is about 60 kilometers from Fort Smith. No power, running water, or anything like that, so we have to haul everything that we need out to the site. Another challenge is volunteer recruitment and retention. We have our core group, but as usual, across the North, long-term engagement is difficult due to the limited volume of them, and basically burnout. Everybody is constantly on them, asking people, hey, you can help us with this. So we try to keep that in mind when we're organizing. And then the marketing aspects of it. For a lot of non-residents, it's a long-haul destination, and it has to be, we have to figure a way to include it as part of a bigger trip. The future for our festival, the 2021 format is still under consideration. If COVID-19 restrictions are still in place, we'll do a virtual format, much like we did last year. And if not, well, we'll start our planning probably in the next month or two, with the hope that COVID restrictions are lifted, and we're looking at expanding with additional workshops, some pre and post festival tours, new partnerships and such. And here are some final photos. Bob McDonald on the top left there, demonstrating the energy of his demonstration was amazing. Middle one is the photo of a hand games demonstration, and of course, viewable across the North, the amazing aurora. And I'll wrap it up at that, since I think I've taken about my 20 minutes.
Amazing.
If anybody has any questions.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? You can type them in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself. While you're thinking of questions, I'll just also ask, someone called in. Who called in for this meeting? I know, Laurel, you did, but someone else called in. Okay, any questions? I don't see any popping up in the chat. Did anybody want to unmute themselves and ask Mike a question about this amazing festival? So Mike, Peter says, my inner sci-fi nerd needs to know if there has been UFO stories. You're muted right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. We always have people ask us, have you ever seen a UFO? And people also asking about what is the possibility of the existence of aliens. I usually respond by indicating that we live in a vast universe. If we look at our own Milky Way galaxy. There's 100 billion stars in the galaxy, and even if only a minor fraction of them are able to support life, it's still tens of thousands of potential civilizations out there. So, to be honest, no, I've never seen a UFO. And sort of people seem really disappointed when I tell them that. Say, "Oh, you're always looking at the sky," and go, "Not my day."
I love it. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Peter, for the question. Anyone else questions for Mike? If you think of something at the end, you're also welcome to ask Mike after the other presenters go. So thanks, Mike, so much for sharing. Perfect. I'm just going to switch gears here. Yeah, claps all around in virtual space. I don't know how we do that. There used to be like a clap button on here, but thank you so much, Mike. Cam, I'm just gonna make you presenter so you can get ready to share your screen. So if people have questions about that, or you're curious about going to the festival, definitely connect with Mike, make a trip out to Fort Smith. There's always lots to do and see there. The kids, whenever I visit there, are always very excited to tell me about your snake pits. So that's another reason to go to Fort Smith too, apparently, is to see the snake pits. But always lots there. So thanks, Mike, for sharing that. Really appreciated. We're going to switch gears and head to another region here in the territory now. So Cam is going to take over with the 2020 Fun Run/Walk Challenge. So hopefully some of you have been seeing this on Facebook. And if you haven't, Cam's got the details for you here. So Cam, take it away.
Thanks, Amanda, and thank you to NWT RPA for giving me a chance to do this presentation. As you see, I'm going to present about the 2020 Fun Run Walk Challenge. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's an exciting little event that I came up with in 2019. Excuse me. I'm Cameron Twa. I'm the president-elect of Rotary True North Yellowknife and the vice president of the Multi-Sport Club. I'm an avid runner in Yellowknife, and I do a lot of event planning, even outside of multi-sport events. The Multi-Sport Club is a Yellowknife-based multi-sport club, and our goal is to promote fitness in Yellowknife through fun, family-oriented events. We do a lot of half marathons, triathlons, duathlons, and type events. The Rotary True North Yellowknife is a service club, and we, like any Rotary club, are looking for opportunities around Yellowknife and the region to have volunteer projects and contribute to the communities. Our focus is on history, vulnerable sectors, seniors, and youth. So, the Fun Run Walk Challenge, which I always mix up as Fun Walk Run Challenge, I get it all always mixed up, but it started in 2018. I was trying to figure out an event where I could get people who do these Learn to Run 5K programs, something for them to do, because there's a lot of events for 10Ks, there's a lot of events for half marathons, and marathons even, but there isn't a lot of small format events. So I came up with a concept of, in the multi-sport calendar, we tend to have a couple events a month, and there's usually a weekend free here or there. So the goal in my event was going to be filling those little weekend holes with a 5K challenge. The whole purpose of the event is to promote family-friendly, short format running and walking events, and to get families out together, promote fitness, and to showcase parts of the community that people hadn't seen. And believe it or not, there's a lot of parts of Yellowknife that people who've lived here for 20 years haven't seen. even some of the stuff I've never seen until I hosted an event there. So the concept was I was going to do 6 run-walk events of 3 to 5 kilometer distances. And I picked that amount of distance because it's about an hour and it's achievable by most people. Some of the paths were a bit rougher and harder to do, but the prize, the prize at the end of it is if you complete 3 of the 6 events, you would win a medal. And if you completed 6 of the 6 events, you would win a special prize, which I never told anybody about in the first year. And I had maybe 5, 6 people win it. In the second year, I had over 40. That was quite a surprise to me. Another part of this is a lot of events are $20 or more, and I wanted to have an affordable entry fee of $10 to $15, and absolutely no charge for 17 and under. And they are also entitled to win all of the prizes or whatever that's going on. But an affordable entry fee was a focus of mine. This event, inadvertently, it was only meant to really showcase community, promote fitness and family fun, but it also provided a bit of a volunteer opportunity, even at $10. So this was a really easy thing to come up with partnerships. One of the big things about this, I say in capital letters, no winners, but I like to think that everybody is a winner who gets out with their family or their friends and sees a part of Yellowknife they've never seen before. 2019. So my first event was a road race, and it started at the field house. I had 40 people who attended, and I bet you 38 of them were my friends. I haven't told anybody about the medals. You can see the medals here. I didn't say what the medals would look like, and I certainly never said what the final end of the year prize would be, which is the cowbell on the right as well. But word of mouth kicked in, and word of mouth is powerful, and events 2 to 6, I had a various trail or themed runs around Yellowknife. But keep in mind, this is 2019 when everybody could be around other people. So we had, I have some pictures after here, but we did races around this, events around the ski club, Bristol Monument, Frame Lake Trail. A lot of people haven't gone around the full Frame Lake Trail, which surprised me. And after the 3rd event, when people saw what the medal looked like, I had an average of 100 people per event, which is a giant success for any event that the multisport puts on. And I have it for almost every event. You see there's 445 people in the first year. So, actually I forgot, I don't have pictures of 2019, but I do have lots of pictures of 2020 because these are the times of COVID. And it was really tough in the world of running and walking and being social. Obviously, a running event is not the first thing you think of doing. So it was kind of at the start of all of this where virtual runs you see now all over the place. There's so many of them. But when we first came up with the concept of doing the 2020 Run Walk event, I was a bit hesitant about even putting it on this year. But we noticed that there's a lot of challenges it's going to create because we can't do in person, but there was a lot of really cool opportunities. So our goal was to have virtual events that were unique, that would be popular and safe. And the very first run was brought up to me was this coffee run. I didn't come up with this concept, but this run myself, 2 really awesome people did. And the purpose of this run was to support some suffering coffee shop businesses in town who were having to close. And so what we did was we were buying gift certificates as prizes, was the medal, and giving substantial tips to the local coffee shops. We did not envision getting 287 people. We thought we might get 60 people. And it just blew our minds how many people signed up to this. Excuse me. We raised $7,000 in that event, and I believe each coffee shop got, after the purchase of the gift certificates for the medals, the staff got $1,200 in tips. So it was really exciting, and that like I say at the start of the slide here, start with a bang. You can't start with a bigger bang than 287 people taking part in a virtual event when nobody understood what a virtual event was. I should probably say what a virtual event for running is. In this case, we started a Zoom meeting as a virtual starting line, and I did the countdown. I gave the race rules and did a countdown, and people left from wherever they were. They went and did a 3 or 5K run or walk, and then they came back into their camera to show that they were done, and to just basically chat afterwards and celebrate getting out and having a good day. Anybody who was out running or walking that day, I can guarantee you was part of this coffee run. And now for some pictures. Oh, here's the businesses when we were giving them their, we were buying the gift certificates and giving the tips to the staff. So there was Birchwood, Javaroma, Bear and Ground Coffee, and I forget the name of the other one, but they're all very great businesses, and we were really happy to support them. Clorinda was a key person in organizing the events. You can see a picture of her there. It was actually, she was one of the people who came up with the idea. So the rest of the series, we had a little bit of media about all of what we were doing. And one of the things I just dreaded was having an event for the sake of having an event, especially a virtual event. How old is that going to get, where you're just constantly having a 5K run with no purpose? So I still wanted to provide a unique, local, family-friendly virtual event in Yellowknife and still highlight some sort of unique Yellowknife opportunities and get people out with their families and friends. The rest of the events, between events 2 and 6, had an average of 100 people. One of the things I did to get people to prove that they had completed an event, because there was a prize at the end. The 6th event prize was a bit more costly than I thought it would have been. But I got people to show proof that they completed by pictures or uploading the pictures to Zoom or onto Facebook or something, and then I would check off on a list as people did their events. Yeah, and then after the 3rd event, people could pick up their medals in a safely arranged outdoor location, or I could deliver them and drop them off on the doorknobs or whichever. But that wasn't really a problem until event number 3, because you have to get 3 events to get a medal. So I have some pictures. So the 2nd event was called Happy Trails, and basically in Yellowknife you would just, we gave a suggestion of a number of trails that people could go on and just have a great day doing 3 to 5K. And here's some pictures that people submitted of their little journeys. And some people wanted to prove how fast they did it and how far they went, so they would send us their Strava readouts, or whichever one this is. This isn't Strava, but just to prove that they had done it. I love the picture of the little kids here running down the street, and that was one of the things that got me so excited about these events, having people with their little kids out there. Event 3, this was a mouthful, was the Midday Night Sun Fun Run. I practiced that one quite a few times. On the left, you see at midnight, everybody, well, not everybody, but at midnight you would start your event and then come back to the Zoom or just report with pictures that you had completed the event. And because there's a lot of kids, again, as you see, they're not going to be up at midnight. So we did the Midday Sun Fun Run. And of course, this was at the solstice. And then we did the Rainbow Run, which we did the year before as well. And it was the closest at that point we had got to an in-person event. And we basically set up near the post office, and now we could start giving people their medals. The people who are close here are in a bubble at the time. But it was really exciting. People came, run by, and we got to celebrate a wonderful community event with the Rainbow Run. Then we also did the Scavenger Hunt, which was not a popular event, but it might have been a miscommunication on my part, where people thought they had to do 10 events, 10 different things versus 5, which I had listed. But either way, we still had 60 people for that one. And finally, we had the Turkey Trot, which was a really fun. This was our only in-person event that we had done. And basically, we did it with a staggered start. So sometime between 10 and 11, come and start your run around Niven Trail and come and pick up your prize, which here Carrie Kalusha is getting her prize for the door prize draw. So to have an event like this, how do you get people to come out? Well, number one, you show them the medal. That's a really good start. And so incentives are the swag. We all love our medals. A number of people are even using them as Christmas ornaments. Like I have the 2019 prizes and I have the 2020 prizes. It's very, it's good to have a nice, unique type of medal, and you'll get lots of people coming out for a medal. One of the things that we use in the Multi-Sport Club for most of our events, and I will just stay right at the start, it's a pain to learn this program, but once you learn it, you can't live without this thing. If you have an event over 20 people in size, you need some way to handle the registration for your events. And so we use this website called Zone 4. It offers timing, it offers the registration, there's ways to do your proof of finish, there's ways to sign a waiver online. You can collect donations and memberships to your organization, and people can use their Visas and MasterCards. And one of the thing that people don't consider, so let's say if you have under 20 people, or even if you had over 20, and you decided to do it manually with people giving you cash, it's a bit awkward as a race organizer to have this big bucket of cash. You want some accountability, and Zone 4 gives accountability where I don't even touch the money, it just goes right into the bank account. And there's no question I didn't take any money, or I don't think people thought I did, but I like to be above board. Another aspect we had to consider, of course, was safety. So I'll say it like this: you may wish to seek legal advice about insurance and the disclaimer. For all of the multi-sport events, we have insurance through multi-sport and in some ways through Rotary as well. And particularly disclaimers where you're saying these are the risks that you're doing and these are the things you must consider before you take part in this event. I'm happy to share disclaimers that we have, but you have to make sure that they are for your own events. We always have first aid kits and often have first aiders on around. And this year we've respected the CPHO guidelines, which is new. If I was doing this presentation last year, we wouldn't necessarily have to say that. So I was excited about 2020 because we got a really amazing chance to try new things. These are things that we hadn't done before in Multi-Sport Club, a lot of them. And in order to make sure that this event could be a success, we have to do new things. So we did online reporting with picture uploads, which was successful. We've ironed out some of the bugs. The Zoom start finish line, we did that in a coffee run. Interestingly, Zoom has its place, and Zoom actually scared some people off of signing up. So having Zoom as an option is probably a better thing, and then basically just telling everybody to start at a time who doesn't want to be part of Zoom. We had multi-week events like the Scavenger Hunt and the Happy Trails. It wasn't just one day where you had to do it and you could report your results. We had an online broadcasting of an event, which was interesting. I don't know if I would do that again, but it was interesting and it was exciting. We had staggered starts for the in-person event, which we also did with the Overlander half marathon this year, which was a really great way of having an in-person event while retaining some social distancing. And we had multiple start times, like the middays, like some fun run and tagging it up. So, and recently on a different event, I tried doing a Facebook video orientation, which I don't know if it was successful or not. So my personal observation was before we started the fun walk run series this year, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of community when I was out running on the trails. A lot of people were avoiding each other, and these events really created a sense of community, and a while we were out there. People were saying hi to each other, cheering each other on. And it was shortly after that that people were a little bit less scared. We were all in our bubbles, but we were able to be Yellowknifers and get some of that sense of community back. I loved seeing kids earning their medals after 3 events. The kids, one time a kid came up to me and said this was the first medal they've ever received in their whole life, and they were so proud of it. And it was interesting because after 3 events, after 1 event, kids were trying to get medals, but I said no, because you have to get 3. So it's also a good chance for them to learn what it is to work towards the goal. There's multi-generational family participation, grandmas, moms, kids. People saw parts of the city they never saw. We brought in like $14,500 in these $10 races with basically the expense of $2,200. And so in the end, there was $3,300 to split between multisport and Rotary, which was great. It helped keep multisport alive, and it really contributed to some Rotary programs that we're running. So some of the things were a success, some were a failure, but all in all, the season was great. So the big question is, how can you put on an event like this? If you want to do something in this community, one of the best things you can do is just make a list of all of the things that are interesting that you know about in your community, and maybe get some other people with you at the same time, just so they can give you some ideas about things they think are interesting. I had a whole group of people who were just telling me some cool things they'd like to do. Again, be a leader, have a vision, surround yourself with like-minded people, right? One of the things you can do when it comes to insurance, I was never going to put on an event without insurance. But if you partner with local groups like Rotary or just somebody who has insurance, you can work with them to try and find ways to put these events through their insurance. And then at the same time, they can raise money, and you can raise money for whatever you're trying to do. And when you have people who have a vested interest, like a local group you have an interest with, they'll help you supply volunteers, and it's a lot easier to get volunteers. So again, don't be afraid to try new things. Come out with a bang. Oops. Whoa. Come out with a bang and find an event that the community can stand behind. For us, this year was the coffee run. It was amazing. Really got people excited about our events. And I say, show your medals on event number 1, because you'll get more interest for that for sure. And finally, administration is the thing, and it's so boring when it comes to race directing, but you have to do it. So insurance, again, you might want to seek legal advice about insurance. Advertising, you have to consider costs and platforms, and maybe the media. What can the media do for you? When it came to advertising, I had a budget of $0, and I found ways to get it out there through Facebook, through Twitter, or whatever. CBC, I had some interviews with CBC. When you have a cool event, you can get interviewed by people. And registrations, small events versus large events. I made a note here: accountability. Don't hold the cash. But small events and large events, you want to try find a way to do something like Zone 4. When you're doing in-person stuff, you should look into getting if there's any permits. In Yellowknife, you need like a parade permit, I believe, for an in-person event, which is a bit of an odd one, but they're not hard to get. Don't be afraid. And safety, do you need an on-site medic? So yes, that's our 2020 Fun Run Walk Challenge. And I'm more than happy to, if you want to ask me questions about how we do it with the Multi-Sport Club, I'm happy to talk to you about it. And if you want to put on an event like this, I'd encourage you to do it. It brings a lot of great community spirit out, and it's just a wonderful type of event to have. So thank you.
Thanks, Cam. You have some comments in the chat. So the first one is JC has a question about what events are being planned next. So what are you in the works of?
You guys are looking for the inner scoop here, eh? Interestingly, this is the 6th run challenge, but I do have a 7th run. and or it's kind of a run, and we're talking about doing something with some snowshoes this winter. But I will be doing a 2021 challenge, and one of the things I learned from this event is virtual challenges are great because sometimes people just can't be there for when your event is on, but they still want to take part in spirit, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I will be incorporating virtual to these as well, and people anywhere in the territories can take part and be there in spirit.
Awesome. Katie says, my kids have been so proud of their medals each year, Cam. Thanks for ensuring even the littlest runners, really a chariot riders in her son's case, that's included.
I did think it was fun giving the littlest kids some beer steins as the 6 event prizes, so maybe they'll grow up and they'll have their cups.
Yeah, and I often see Katie's photos of her doing the runs with her littles. I love it. Good work, Katie. Way to get the fam jam out. I love it. Najitzel says, hi, Cameron. Great presentation. I love the fact that everyone is a winner. As an avid walker and hiker every day, twice a day, I really appreciate the social and community aspect of this project. With COVID, it would be amazing to have similar models or connections with other communities in the NWT to continue the connecting and socially distanced events. So I think you said that people can connect with you, that other communities can potentially join your runs then, right?
Well, yeah, I will. I am setting up the runs to include a virtual component. So if somebody from Inuvik, wherever, wanted to take part, and they can win a medal just like everybody else, and they can promote it in their community and get other people out and about to do these events. Or you could put on your own. They are not. It seems like a lot of work to organize them, and at first it kind of is. But I have to admit that doing these virtually this year, there was a lot less when I didn't have to put out signs and clean up and have a medic on staff, or like not on staff, nobody's paid, but on site.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody who wants to consider organizing something like this. I have an email on there, or you can get a hold of Amanda. For me, I'm pretty easy to find.
Thanks, Cam. Anybody else have questions or comments for Cam? We'll give it a second here. Thanks so much, Cam. I live in Yellowknife, so I see a lot of my friends posting pictures when they're participating when your events are going on. So the reach is getting out there. So thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, and hopefully it kind of spins the wheels in people's minds a little bit about doing something like this in your communities. So thanks so much,
one of the most important things is when you have a weird idea like this, they're not that weird, and they are very achievable to do. You just need to find the right people to help you out.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Cam. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Amazing. So we've had 2 wonderful presenters with lots of ideas to take back to your communities. We have 1 group left to present. They debate on their short form name, so I'm just going to go with the long form of Western Arctic Youth Collective. They go back and forth about which short form. But JC and Peter are here to explain a little bit about their group and what they've been up to. So give me a second here, you two, to pull up your slideshow, and we'll get going. All right. Here we go.
Yes, merci, Amanda. Thank you, everyone. I'll start off by introducing myself and talking first, and I'll hand it off to Peter. Jingwinzi Sitcha Nai, she Sal Good afternoon, my friends. My name is JC Firth-Hagen. I'm born and raised in Inuvik, Northwest Territories. I've moved around the north and I'm currently in Edmonton, Alberta for university. I'm a proud Jinji and so happy and excited to talk about the Western Arctic Youth Collective with Peter. My experience of being asked to participate in an upcoming youth gathering call out for ideas from primarily Indigenous youth across Canada by the 4Rs Youth Movement, to helping to host 2 youth gatherings in my homelands and which a nation outside of Inuvik and J, Fort McPherson, NT, has been a dream come true. The Western Arctic Youth Collective is something that I've always envisioned, and it's something that I would have loved as a child. It's important to have local youth-specific programming. Growing up and now, it can be expensive to put on youth programming in the Beaufort Delta, especially on the land. This is something that Wake or WACY strives to do. From youth gatherings on the land to moose hide tanning, hunting, berry picking, fishing, and so much more, such as Zoom activities, meetings, book clubs, etc. Going out on the land and being together as a community, learning traditions is how we move forward in a good way. And it is so important. Some treasured memories I'd like to share over the past year or so as being involved with Wake is being brought together in an amazing gathering. As I mentioned, the 4Rs. Myself, Peter, and Alyssa, all on this call, were brought together in Ontario with youth across the country, all putting on gatherings, and it was like so empowering, a safe and relaxing space to share ideas with Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth. And then I believe we were one of the teams that really knew what we wanted to do. Well, not really, but I think we all had an idea to do a youth gathering on the land. And then we were like, okay, where should we have it? And then we were talking about having a midway outside Fort McPherson or Titlet J. And just, yeah, like such an amazing place where there's a music festival every year. And it's, yeah, just such a special place, especially to host like a youth gathering. And then there's already like the cabins and places to stay there. And for me, I was so grateful to be like back on in territory and Inuvik and at Midway. And then it just being like such a safe place to learn, being together out on the land, like eating together. And then having like, this was us outside Midway in the mountains, where we learned like on the far mountain, that's like where a caribou corral or caribou fence is from a late elder. And then just so beautiful. I love it so much and I miss it so much. And then being able to host a hide tanning camp outside of Inuvik at the campground. And then practicing these skills and normalizing it, which is really something that's so amazing. That's really been spearheaded by like Dene Naho, especially around like Yellowknife with the urban hide tanning camp. And bringing back these skills is so amazing. And now there's a new steering committee, like the vision is right in front of our eyes and we're doing it. And there's so many things for us to do. Like we hosted another gathering on the land outside of Inuvik. And it really feels like the sky's the limit to add in other nations like the Saulteaux and Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples across the territory to the Beaufort Delta, which is really exciting. And I just can't wait to go back. Like every day I'm looking at these beautiful pictures and it's like, oh, I can't wait to go back on the land and see everyone. And it's so exciting, like talking about having another camp on the land. And yeah, I just feel like it's really a beautiful way to get together and such a beautiful way to like heal and be nourished and I'll pass it on to you, Peter. Merci, Haicho, thank you.
Merci, JC. My name is Peter Greenland. I'm 27. I'm currently living in Ottawa, Ontario, framing houses. But I was originally from the NWT, and I've been in between Ontario and the NWT my whole life. In recent times, I kind of took a step back from Wake for my own journey, but my initial involvement with people who were involved, such as JC and the people that at 4Rs and what was to become the Western Arctic Youth Collective, was about 2 years ago. I was working at the Gwich'in Tribal Council as an intern, and one day the vice deputy president at that time, Jordan Peterson, said, "Hey, there's somebody I want to introduce you to." And so then I met up with Alyssa, and we realized there were some key things in our community that almost everybody notices: the need for healing, the loss of traditional skills and values, connection with our community and elders and each other, and how there was kind of less opportunities for people in between the ages of about 18 and 35, or in those age brackets, and we just felt there was a real need to fill in these gaps. So that led to further discussions, and then, as JC said, we joined the 4Rs youth movement. We also worked with the On the Land Collaborative, and this led to the creation of the Midway Lake project, and it was a really great experience. We got to discuss with other youth, and we found out this vision wasn't just by ourselves. Everybody wanted this, and it's really not surprising, because I think any Indigenous youth that spends time on the land realizes how good it is for them, and that's the case for me. And if it's good for me and healthy for me, then it must be needed for other people as well. And one example of this was a fishing during the Midway Lake project. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Midway Lake Music Festival. There were two elders, and they were sharing with us how they sampled fish that they caught, which they prepared traditionally, but they also gave these fish samples to researchers in the area. And it was a really cool combination of modern science and traditional skills. But a little background on me: I've done wilderness guiding and everything, and all these high-level wilderness expeditions. So I thought I was pretty good at cleaning fish. But Alice and Ernest Vitroqua always had something new to show me, and I was just getting shown up. And I think it was really nice for them to have a young person interested in these skills. And I don't think I'd be going out on a limb and say that was healing for them. And for myself to be connected with elders on the land, it was a very great experience. And just knowing that these opportunities can be created more through the collective, it creates a lot of excitement. As JC said, there's a steering committee that's been created. A lot more people are becoming involved, which is great to see. You can't create community without having a community. So it's a really beautiful thing. And I think it's creating an opportunity for healing for a lot of people. And I just can't fully explain how excited I am for the future of the Western Arctic Youth Collective. And these are some pictures here that I guess JC and I can go through. Back to you, JC.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, this looks like on the far left is, I can't really see with my screen right now, is, I think, the new steering committee meeting at the Witch-In campground. And then
this was the meeting with Bites. So this would have happened before Midway.
oh yes, so Midway also brought together youth councils, and this was it. I wasn't there, but yeah, sorry, I can't really see with my computer. It's a little small. And then towards the top right, there's Peter and our beautiful elder, Sarah Charlie Jerome. And then to the bottom is our youth planning sessions. And it's such a beautiful way to, especially building things like moving a youth council forward and like envisioning what our future work looks like. And it can be really intense to like kind of be in an office, and then to be on the land is going to be so much more relaxing and really build like a different sense of community. If you could please switch the slides, Amanda. Oh, we can actually see the text that Alyssa provided in this beautiful slideshow. Must see, thank you. And this was the 2019 NLC with the 4 Rs. And yeah, just like so much fun, so innovative, and the energy that was shared there is like the energy that I totally love to share and bring forward in the future. Like, yeah, I could really talk about like every single picture. I'm not too sure if you want to keep going through the photos and talking about it, Peter.
Yeah, we got a lot of photos, so we could go through them pretty quickly here. There's different people. There's us with our Gwitchin sweaters there. That's a fun one. I'm just looking at these pictures to remember here. There's a lot of JC and Alyssa here. There's a walk that we went on. Yeah, that's where we originally had the idea for the Midway, to have the gathering at Midway. It kind of was birthed out of this event here. Yeah, we could go to the next slide here, unless you won't have anything to say.
Yeah, thank you. And then having it also at Midway, like we were able to participate in jigging and the different dances. And then there was Gwitchin that came like all the way from like Alaska, and I'm sure from Yukon and other places. And then some people from the Sawtooth just really could come from anywhere to attend Midway. And then yeah, it was super fun, especially there was other youth across Canada that joined us from 4 Rs, so they got to see jigging for the first time and then join in, and then see all the laughs and our time with the elders. This is when we were looking for caribou in the mountains towards the top right, and then yeah, so many laughs. We were saying we scared the caribou away with our laughter. And on the bottom is our elder Ernest Vitraqua that took youth out, including myself, the set net, fishnet, and check it, and Bobby Rose Cooey that's also involved in Wake. And if you don't have anything to add, Peter, yeah, I could go to the next slide. Thank you. See, yeah, just us being together at Midway, and there's Jess from 4 Rs towards the top right. Learning or cutting up fish. I think she's pro, so she wasn't learning. Learning from our elders, and then Rosalie, our elder, and then myself. And sorry, I can't remember her name from Bite. That's when we're going to go and set nets.
Yeah, Rosalie's actually cleaning up or doing some dry meat up there. We were making dry meat at the gathering as well, which was really cool.
Yeah, you can see the dry meat hanging up in the corner of the bottom right.
Oh yeah.
And then we even brought in like reconciliation into it from the top right, where we had a blanket exercise, which is really powerful and like really hard as well, going through the history of like colonization and Indian residential schools in the Northwest Territories. And then to the left is our photo for Midway. All those smiling faces being together with like babies and youth and elders.
And the lake that's in behind us is the actual Midway Lake. I'm not sure if everyone knows that, but I always think that's interesting.
So true. Actually, I never really noticed that before.
Yeah. Don't go swimming in there. There's leeches.
All these beautiful photos that we have, a lot from our steering committee and people involved in Wake and the youth that joined.
And in our programs, there always seems to be a kid around, some sort of kid. You know, it's an Indigenous gathering whenever there's kids running around.
And yeah, working to build and bridge and work together with involving like youth and elders more. And you can see there's even like beading. And then that's.
I remember they all stayed up pretty late. A lot of people stayed up pretty late just beading and stuff. People really wanted to spend time with each other. It was cold outside, so it was nice and cozy in there.
That's with a nice wood stove.
Yeah, that was a pretty big gathering, as you could see. There was a lot of people there. It was pre-COVID times, so look how close we are.
So close in every picture. Yeah, the photos can really speak for themselves, and we have some quotes. I believe that this could end us off as well. Thank you so much, Amanda, for the slideshow.
Yes, and Western Arctic Youth Collective also has an Instagram page if anyone wants to find it. I believe it's Western Arctic Youth Collective.
Yes, and on Facebook.
Masi Cho, thank you again to Bright Spots and NWT Parks and Rec for having us.
Thank you. Hi, Cho.
Awesome. Thank you, JC and Peter. Claps all around for you. Amazing. Let me just stop sharing this. There we go. Now I can see everyone again. Thank you both so much for sharing about this. If people have questions about the Western Arctic Youth Collective, because it is still a very new thing that has started, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, or you're welcome to also unmute yourselves if you have questions for Peter and JC. I know that they're very passionate about this. Nijitzel did leave you both a message saying great presentation, JC and Peter, great memories to look back on. The power of feeling out on the land with friends, community babies, and elders. Sheena says, thanks, I love seeing all the beautiful photos and the intergenerational connections. So that was wonderful too. And Mike gives you a shout out. He says, well done, everyone. So thank you. Yeah, but I do encourage everyone, Western Arctic Youth Collective, I'm just typing it in the chat. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Otherwise, Alyssa is also here, and she's the program director, and she says that you can always reach out if you have questions. She's happy to explain more. And there we go. She also gave the at her Instagram there. So if anyone else has questions, comments, anything for JC or Peter, drop them in the chat or unmute yourself. I'll also take this opportunity just to open up the floor if anybody had questions for any of our Bright Spot presenters before we wrap up. Pardon me, I have the hiccups. Mike, thanks so much. Mike says thanks for organizing this. Amazing job. Thank you so much to all of our Bright Spot presenters. This is honestly one of the most favorite parts of our in-person conference because we just love hearing about things that are happening throughout the territory. Sometimes we don't always hear about everything in other regions that we don't live in. So thank you so much. I hope everybody got some ideas of things that you might be able to recreate in your own community. Or ways to even partner with any of these groups to kind of bring those activities, events, or programs to your own communities. JC just sent a message to everyone saying, beautiful and informative presentations, everyone. Masi Cho, thank you. Otherwise, thank you all so much for joining us today. We will resume our webinar series in January, but otherwise, I wish you all a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Bye.